Hi, my name is Patty and I'm doing a baking challenge. I release a video every Friday. Welcome to this week's video. Now, let's find out what I'm baking this week. It's time to see what I'm baking this week. Let's go here. I think I already know what it is. Tarte Tatin. Hey guys, so today we are making Tarte Tatin, a typical French dessert. It's basically an apple upside down tart. The tricky thing with this tart is to, when we turn it the right way up. I've made it once before, many years ago, and it turned out well. Let's see if I can do it again. I'm going to start by making a puff pastry. This is going to be a rough puff pastry. That means that I don't need to make as many turns, so it's a bit quicker. And I've seen recipes using puff pastry, I've seen recipes using a short crust, so yeah, that's what we're doing. We start by making the puff pastry, the rough puff, and then we are baking the apples in a caramel on the stuffed top first, and then we'll take everything to the oven, the apples and with the puff pastry on top. In the end, we are going to turn it the right way up. Okay, let's do this. We start by preparing the butter that we're going to need for the rough puff. We slice some butter, half of the butter, and the other half we leave it in a block, and we freeze both for like 15 minutes, and then we grate the block and add it to the flour mixture. The mixture has flour, sugar, and salt. After that's done, we just toss everything together, and then we add the sliced butter, toss it again, and then we are going to start adding water. I have 1 cup of cold water or icy water, and then I'm going to add it gradually and keep tossing it, and bit by bit it's going to add moisture. I don't want to add too much. I don't need to add all the water probably. So after a while I start pressing it, and if a block comes out, a block of dough that's hydrated, so I just set it aside, and that part is done. So I just see if more water is necessary for the rest of the dough, and I keep pressing it and making little clumps. So in this case I made a clump, and then I just pressed it together again, and I didn't need to add more water. And now we are just going to press it all together, and in a plastic wrap we are going to wrap it and take it to the fridge for 2 hours at least. At least 1 hour, but 2 hours or even overnight would be better. Now that it's very cold, we can start rolling it out and start the folds. Adding some flour to the surface so that the dough doesn't stick. So in the beginning we are going to start beating the dough so that the butter starts spreading, because this dough was in the fridge for a long time, so it's very hard. So we need to work it so that we can roll it out, and little by little it will start happening. You need to make sure that it's not sticking to the countertop. Trying to even it out a bit so that it's a rectangle, and then keep at it. And then we are going to fold it in thirds like a letter. Here I folded it a little bit more than a third, so then I had to correct it, like so. And then the first fold is done. We're going to leave this in the fridge for 1 hour, and then we can do another fold. Sometimes you can do both folds, but I saw that the dough was sticking to the countertop, so to the fridge it went. So I made that process twice. I only showed it once because it was exactly the same. Now I'm coring and peeling the apples and cutting them in half. Here I'm trying to use a peeler, but I prefer a knife. So I went back to my preferred method. And I'm using a lemon baller, so I can core the apples. I really like the look of the apples like this. You could also use a knife to do it. And then do this for all the apples. Here I'm preparing the filling. This is butter, sugar and cinnamon, a little bit of salt. And then we start caramelizing it, and then we will add the apples. And we cook it for about 10 minutes so that the apples start cooking, and then we turn off the heat and start doing the puff pastry. Here I'm only using half of the dough, so the other half you can freeze it and use it for another recipe. Or just keep it in the fridge for another day or so. Now we just need enough dough so we can cut around to put on top of the apples. So I'm cutting it a little bit larger than the frying pan I'm using. This is going to the fridge before we top the apples. And I also left the apples cooling a little bit so that the dough doesn't touch the very, very hot pan and it starts being stickier. So now I'm docking the dough. You can do this before the dough rests in the fridge. And then we are going to transfer this. So it covers the apples. This is going to be the base, the bottom of our pie, of our tart. And now it's ready to go into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for about 30-40 minutes. I left mine 30 minutes, but you can check and see if the dough is looking golden. It has a good color. The apples maybe could have used a little bit more caramelization, but they were perfectly cooked. And yeah, that's a bit of a spoiler. I'm going to taste it in a little bit. So yeah, the tricky part went well. Now I'm just transferring it into another plate. The other one was full of the caramel on top and base. Here it is, our Tarte Tatin. Now let's cut a slice and let's taste it.
So now I have here a slice. It's time to taste it. Let's see how it turned out. I have a little bit of crème fraîche on the side. Try a bit of the pastry. I think the puff pastry could have been a bit longer, or maybe it was a bit too thick. But it tastes very good. And this apple is perfectly cooked. Let me try a bit with the crème fraîche. Very good. I prefer chantilly cream. This crème fraîche doesn't have any sweetener. Very good. Yeah. The only thing that I can say is that the puff pastry could have been a bit longer in the oven. Or like I said, I should have made it a bit thinner, but it's very, very good. Okay. Thanks for watching this week's video. I'll see you next Friday. Bye!